Hello, Booknerds. Welcome to the Booknerds podcast, and I am so happy. It is a great time of the year. Of course, we have the Children's Day coming up tomorrow, and of course, we are celebrating it with the Red Panda Kids Carnival, and we are so thankful to Westland for letting us do this. So, first of all, welcome to both the authors we have with us. Sharanya Manivannan and Khyrunnisa A, who have written some wonderful books, uh, uh, for children. A little bit about the authors first, and then, of course, we'll talk to them and talk about some wonderful animal stories. I've been reading a couple of books by them. The first one is called Mermaids in the Moonlight, and it's an amazingly, illustrated book. And of course, we have The Crocodile Who Ate Butter Chicken for Breakfast and other stories. This is just, too funny as well. So yeah, a little bit about the authors for people who are not aware about their work. Although, I mean, if you have kids or you are a kid, you will know about their works. But Sharanya is the author of the beloved picture book, The Amuchi Puchi. Pardon me if I'm getting this wrong, but it is illustrated by Nerina Kanzi. She also writes fiction and poetry for adults. Quite something, Sharanya, you're writing for everyone, including The Queen of Jasmine Country and The High Priestess Never Marries. Mermaids in the Moonlight, the book I showed you just now, is a debut as an illustrator, which I was astonished by and pleasantly so, and will be followed by a graphic novel for adults, Incantations Over Water. Quite a prolific and eclectic sort of set of books you have got there. Khyrunnisa A is an award-winning writer of children's fiction and the author of the hilarious Butterfinger series, which everybody knows about and has been reading. Tongue in Cheek, The Funny Side of Life, which came out in 2019, is a first book for adults. Her latest book for children, The Lizard of Oz and Other Stories. I mean, she has a little something for puns and wordplays, so we'll kind of explore this in a bit. Is a collection of delightful animal stories. She writes regularly for the children's magazine Dimdima, and most of the stories in this collection first appeared in the magazine. Her stories for adults and for children have been published in various anthologies. She's a full-time writer, which we all love. All love full-time writers, and she lives in Trivandrum. Welcome to the podcast, and of course to the Red Panda Kids Carnival. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So let's talk about the festival, of course, and Children's Day. We all love picture books. When you're writing, I mean, of course, and this goes to Sharanya, and I was going through the book, I read it, and I would like to first of all show an illustration from the book, which I really loved. So, and then I'll ask you a question around it. There's this page where you have shown Hanuman there, and that's the page I wanted to show everyone. This is the page which I wanted to show, and I hope it's visible. So this is the one where you are talking about, of course, mermaids, but you have mentioned Hanuman as well. Tell us a little bit about this illustration and what was the thought process behind, developing a book like this. It's quite out of the box. Mermaids in the Moonlight. It is informative at the same time. It has got some amazing, fantastical elements.
Thank you for that question, Rohan. It has multiple parts, so I'll try and answer them all briefly if I can.
Yeah.
Mermaids in the Moonlight was conceptualized initially as a kind of offshoot of my graphic novel, Incantations Over Water.
Yeah.
But then the picture book demanded attention first, and that's how it is with projects. Perhaps Khyrunnisa has experienced that as well. You think you're going to work on one thing, and then something else takes you on a journey.
Right.
The storyline is that there is a true phenomenon in Mattakalappu, also known as Battle, in the east of Sri Lanka, where on full moon nights, if you go into the Kalladi lagoon and you put a paddle into the water and hold it to your ear, you can hear these strange noises from under the water. And if you don't believe me, you can look this up and you can listen to those sounds on YouTube as well.
Right.
Um, there's been lots of research done about what creates these sounds, but nothing conclusive. Many people believe it's a kind of fish or a kind of shell or different species of underwater um,
Yeah.
life forms. But all over this town are mermaid motifs.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to me. Oh, and I should say that this is my native place. It's where my mother's entire family, my entire
Yeah.
matrilineal lineage is
Yeah.
from Batticaloa.
Yeah.
So um, I personally did not visit Batticaloa itself until I was an adult, although I'd lived in Khyrunnisa as a child. And when I went there, I was really struck by the mermaid imagery all over town. And I wanted to know the stories. And then I discovered that you've got the mythic figure, but where is the folklore? And this was a huge mystery to me, which I pursued. And the resulting two books are
Yeah.
Incantations Over Water, which is strictly for adults. I
Yeah.
would like to emphasize that that's strictly for adults.
Yeah.
And Mermaids in the Moonlight is for all ages.
Yes.
So in Mermaids in the Moonlight, a diasporic Ilangai Tamil mother, who's just known as Amma, takes her daughter Nilovoli to the lagoon so that they
Yeah.
can listen to these sounds. And as they listen,
Yeah.
um, Amma tells Nilavoli about mermaid stories from around the world. Because unfortunately, in their hometown, the
Mm.
mermaids are everywhere, but their stories are not.
Yeah.
So that's really what this
Yeah.
book is about. Now, coming to the illustration that you showed, that's
Yeah.
really the story of Suvarna Macha, not so much the
Yeah.
story of Hanuman.
Right.
Suvarna Macha in the Southeast Asian Ramayanas was a daughter of Ravana, and she was a mermaid. And the storyline, well, I would encourage you to pick up the book because the story
Oh
is
yes.
really.
Truly, truly. Khyrunnisa, it's
Yeah.
Children's Day, and
Yes.
um, I mean, I was telling you before going live that how much my daughter was enjoying one of the stories, and that's about the crocodile who, I mean, it's right here, crocodile
Yes.
who eats butter
Age
chicken,
bucket.
and yeah, and it's a very catchy title, of course. But what is the significance of animal stories? Because of course everybody loves them, but at this age for children, I mean, it could be like the age group perhaps 4 to say 8 especially. How does that get them into this world of stories and books, because that's the ultimate sort of goal here.
Yeah. See, actually, if you look at it, my books are not for 4 to 6. You read it. It's actually for little older children. Maybe,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know how old your daughter is. I forgot to ask you.
I she's 5, but what I did
Ah,
was I
but
read the
you
story
told her
and
the
narrated
story.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. So if they are to read it, I think at least 8 years.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so 8 upwards, and I hope adults also will enjoy them.
I
The
did.
thing
I did, to
you
be
did.
honest.
Thank you.
I am not impressed very easily, but I was having fun. So yeah.
That is the whole idea. Because what I want children to do is to read and enjoy books.
Yeah.
And see what's happening these days is that animals are getting sidelined. You're taking you're not giving them the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
See, we
Yeah.
are living in an environment where there is space for everybody, where
Yeah.
we also have to treat animals with respect.
Yeah.
So for me, I was writing the Butterfinger stories, but Dimdima wanted me to write. Um, they gave me a free hand. You can write about anything, but I wouldn't write Butterfinger stories for Dimdima. I was writing, so this is where I started writing other types of stories. Animals have always intrigued me, especially the little animals, the little
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah.
They are the ones that, of course, crocodile is huge. The
Yes.
title story is the crocodile who ate butter chicken. But the book that came
Yes.
before that, The Lizard of Oz and Other Stories,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has this a lizard. Then there is a lion. Lion is
Yeah.
a huge creature, but in my story, he's very vulnerable because he finds that he's losing his teeth.
Yeah.
King of the jungle losing his
Yeah.
teeth, plop plop.
Yeah.
So and then there is a peacock who is an outsider because the peacock is white. So the bigger
Yeah.
creatures have some problem. The little
Yeah.
creatures, they may be pests, but I make heroes of them because my idea is that they also need
Yeah.
to be uh, they need some space. They need to
Yeah.
be acknowledged as being
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So I thought the best way to get children to enjoy and to love animals, you can't love a mosquito, you can't love a fly, but at
Right.
least believe that they have a raison d'etre. They belong
Right.
to this world, and
Yeah.
briefly at least sympathize with them in the
Yeah.
story, be
Yeah.
one with them, understand what they feel, because my
Yeah.
stories are most of them are anthropomorphic from the point
Yeah.
of view of animals,
Yeah.
and enjoy. So that's what I have been doing. And
Yeah.
as Children's Day, we can tell children, look at animals,
Yeah.
enjoy the stories, look at
Yeah.
the fun, because I always believe that reading should be for pleasure.
Yeah.
People always ask, why should you what do you get out of reading, and you get a
Right.
whole lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
the main reason is joy, pleasure, and
True.
humor is something that I'm very interested in, and I hope to hook children onto books by making them laugh. So
Wonderful.
that's
I mean, it is. I would encourage the parents as well to kind of read more, so that you can kind of narrate, just like me. I did to my 5-year-old daughter, and it's very important. And to kind of read together as well, if they
yes,
can at this point, or if they are just. I mean, of course, the authors will give you more insights into that later on. About the Red Panda Festival, let's talk to Sharanya. Um, there is a whole lineup, happening, and
yes,
most of it is online. So we have been stuck between this kind of. Now, of course, a lot of sessions are beginning to happen offline. What is this kind of period, and especially like a Red Panda Festival, bring to children right now? Because they are stuck between, offline and online somewhere. The schools have not kind of reopened. Some have, but some haven't. What kind of situation are children in right now? It's quite tough. And what does this kind of festival bring to them? Because with this huge lineup of awesome authors on Instagram, on Facebook, elsewhere.
What I think something like the Red Panda Carnival does is let children, parents, educators, families, as well as readers of all ages know about books published in India, new books.
Yeah.
Because one mistake which many people, from teachers to librarians to parents, make is that they think
Yeah.
that the only books available are what they read 30 years ago,
Yeah.
which would usually
Yeah.
have been an Enid Blyton or, books from a completely different context. But
Yeah.
right now, Indian publishing is thriving in terms of children's literature. There is so much work which
Yeah.
is relevant, which is relatable.
Yeah.
Children can see themselves in books. So a carnival like this just lets them know that these books are out there, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're made for you. They weren't written 70 years ago by a white person in a different country. They're written
Yes.
for you.
Yeah. That's so important. I mean, a lot of parents I know, let's not talk about the kids, of course. The parents don't know about these books being written, and it is so refreshing that Red Panda is bringing this. Khyrunnisa, you must be reading other authors' works as well, noticing them in this space.
yes.
And Sharanya is totally right that this space is thriving. You know, how
Yes.
does one, because all kinds of works will come out, of course, it could be from Red Pandas or any other publisher. But how do we keep improving? Because it's of course there are a lot of books coming up, but how do we keep improving and telling those organic, fun stories?
Yeah, I think what we need to do, what Sharanya says is very true. What that Panda has done is wonderful because they have brought the focus on two things: children and children's books. It is to do with Children's Day, so it's
Yeah,
very apt that the kids' carnival should be coinciding with Children's Day, and they are
true.
introducing their authors to children.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what she said is that this is one way in which people can know about the rich children's literature culture that is available in India,
yeah,
because we are so focused on books from abroad. So
yeah.
you were talking about parents only introducing children to books that they have read.
Right.
On top of that, they also introduce them only to the present current books also that are written by authors from the West. The really
Yeah,
popular ones.
yeah.
And when you go to bookstores, also those are the books that you find uh,
Right,
very visible.
right.
So what happens? It's a kind of it's cyclic actually. So they
Yeah,
see this and they buy that. How many are really
yeah.
going to browse and look around,
True,
read the
true,
blurbs, and ask
true.
for Indian writers' books and
Yeah,
so on? It doesn't happen.
yeah,
And then these books get popular again. So we
yeah,
need festivals like this that
yeah,
focus attention on the fact that there are a lot of diverse kind of books. Look at Sharanya's book
yes.
and my book; they're totally different.
It is true.
I
Yeah,
was reading,
true.
yeah, I was reading Sharanya's book, and I was really looking at how much of yeah, how many different kinds of stories all about mermaids from all over the world.
It
Mine
is
are about
brilliant.
totally
It is.
different animals. Yeah,
Who could
so
have thought? Who could have thought? And there could be so many stories about mermaids. I was
mermaids.
amazed. I
Yeah,
was
for
blown up.
me, I only know about Hans and Christian Andersen's Mermaid, Matthew
Huh.
Arnold's Forsaken Merman. Which
Yeah.
Sharanya, I wanted to ask you, no mermen there, only mermaids. Maybe that's in
Yes.
your adult book that you are going to write. Yeah.
Yes.
So
There's at least one merman in this book.
yeah, there is one. I saw that. I actually looked for merman and
Hmm.
Yes.
found one. Yeah.
So I was
Then I
I was
saw Hanuman.
practically I'll be honest, I was blown away by her book, Shanya's book. I shouldn't be praising her too much. I'll do that afterwards, perhaps over a phone call. Let's talk about your favorite animals because we all love animals, and it's
Hmm.
the Red Panda Festival,
Yes.
Carnival, Kids Carnival.
Hmm.
So let's talk about your favorite animals and. Of course, perhaps a story, short story each from you, which might have kind of, uh, be in your head for the children who are watching or the parents. They could perhaps go on and, narrate it to their kids.
Yeah.
We can
It's
start with Khyrunnisa and then go to Sharanya for this one.
yeah, it's very difficult to come up with a favorite animal. See, when you like animals, I like animals from a distance.
And
Let me first of all tell you that my love for animals is always from a distance. I'm not one of those who, the moment I see a cat, you're also like that. Thank you. That I would rush to a cat and go and cuddle it, put it on my
right,
lap, and start
right,
caressing it. No, no, no. I'm a
right,
little wary. A
right.
dog, I always, jump back. But I'm really frightened. It could also be because we never had pets at home. See,
Huh,
you have to, when you grow up, if you grow up where there are animals in the house, it becomes much
yeah,
easier.
true.
But suddenly you cannot have all the animals pouncing on you. No? So I like them at a distance. The greater the distance, the greater my love for them. No? So, but I believe that they all should be there. So they are all my favorites, you can say.
Yeah.
So I really don't know whether I would like to pick someone, but I like these gentle creatures, rabbits,
Oh, nice.
squirrels.
Yes,
Chip and Monk is my favorite story in
yes,
this book. That is
yes,
Crocodile Who Ate Butter Chicken, where you have
yes,
two mischievous squirrels who want to get into the newspapers. They're very
yes,
ambitious. They find foreign squirrels are there in newspapers.
yeah,
Why can't we be in newspapers? And how they go about it and how they manage very it's totally serendipitous. It's totally serendipitous, and that is how they managed to get into the papers. I don't want to tell you exactly what happened, but
Yes.
um, the other day we were talking about whether we had know any anecdotes about animals. So I just want to tell you about this, which is about a wasp. See, for me, a wasp also could become a hero of my story. There's a bee which is a hero in another book, To Be or Not to Be, the name of the bee.
Yeah.
So there is this. So one day when we had gone to buy some vegetables at a shop, my husband and I, we saw a wasp crawling on the floor of
Yeah.
the shop, and it was looking half dead. It was hardly able to crawl, and somebody standing there was about to crush the wasp. And I,
Yeah.
suddenly the milk of kindness flowing out of me, I said, no, no, don't do that.
Uh-huh.
It's already half dead, leave it.
Yeah.
And this person obeyed me, and he just went his way. And
Right.
while we were buying vegetables, suddenly I felt this sort of burning sensation on my back. It
Yeah.
was terrible, stinging, such pain. I have never felt hot pain. And I was
Yeah.
wondering what it was. I just held on like that,
Yeah.
and to whatever it was that was causing this, and I held tight. And I thought this felt like a sting. And then I
Yeah.
just loosened my, just shrugged my dress, and this wasp fell down.
Yeah.
Right from, so that wasp that I had allowed to survive took
Yes.
its just crawled up my back and stung me. And then there
Wow.
you are, it is lying there, even more looking more dead because it already crushed it a little than
Yes.
ever. And then what did I do? Mercy killing, I killed it. So for all for all your great love for creatures, there's a time when are
True.
you're forced to do something like this.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. We can't be foolish when we say that we love all creatures, we want them all to be there, but
Yeah.
we should not see that they get extinct. They are
Yeah.
through the way in which we are
Yeah.
destroying the environment. So
Yeah.
that is actually my point.
Yeah.
So
We have
Sharanya,
to be
yours will be.
empathetic. Yeah. We
Yeah.
have to be empathetic, and that's, I suppose, conveyed through many of these books. Wonderful books.
Yeah.
Sharanya, who's your favorite animal?
Um, Firstly, I want to say I agree with you completely. We need to understand our position in terms of the overall, um, everything else that exists in nature and the coexistence. Sometimes we're predators, sometimes we're prey. I like animals. I also like to eat animals. That's 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 a fact.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of animal stories, there is one in particular that I would like to share, and it in fact relates to my previous children's book, The Amochi
Yeah.
Kuchi.
Yeah.
Um, I was very close to my maternal grandmother, who passed away in 2008, and immediately after her passing, for a few months, butterflies would follow me, and they would just come and sit on me. They would just be very comfortable around me wherever I was, including even if I was in my room in Chennai, in an urban location, I would just get these butterfly visits.
Yeah.
And I understood from my reading that this is not an uncommon phenomenon, that there is something about transitioning into the spirit world, after which sometimes you get these messages.
Yes.
Um, And every year after that, in the month of her passing, there was this particular kind of creature. Uh, I believe it's the foot piercing moth. It looks
Okay.
like half a butterfly, half a moth, like a
Okay.
monarch butterfly,
Yeah.
but also like a moth. So that beautiful black and orange um, color,
Yeah.
and then this brown color. And when I first saw it, I had no idea what it was, but I just knew that it was coming at a certain time. And I think I had already written the Amuchi Puchi quite early into the demise. I think within the first 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was about this. Yamuchi Puchi is this mysterious uh, creature. He's half butterfly and half moth. But this moth kept appearing to me every year in October, until there was one particular year where I had a slightly harrowing experience with this moth, where similar to Khyrunnisa, I tried to save it, um, and I wasn't able to, and that too was a kind of warning, I realized. So I'm a person who believes in mystery, and I think when you believe in mystery, you do see that it is wonderful not to know everything. It is wonderful to have a kind of humility about human intelligence,
Yeah.
um, and to always be discovering.
Yeah. Wonderful. I mean, a couple of wonderful, experiences, stories. And my favorites are the hornbill, first of all. And another one is an owl that, and both of them, are very frequent to a park right in front of my house. So, I keep on, especially the owl. Owls are just very enigmatic for me. Taking on Sharanya's point, and the owl is just sitting there and just watching, or I don't know what it's doing, but it's very enigmatic for me. And hornbill, of course, such a beautiful bird, and a huge one at that. So both of them are like, I have had some great moments with them, sipping some chai in my balcony. So I love them really. Okay. Let's do a very quick rapid fire, just like the famous uh, Karan Johar, perhaps. Let's do a quick rapid fire among the authors, and yeah, who will go first? Let's start this. This should be fun.
Shall I
Shall I?
ask you, Sharanya, first?
Okay, okay.
Anything works for
Yeah.
me.
Okay, I think Khyrunnisa, just in alphabetic order, you have to go first. So, so let's go for three questions, very
Three
quick one, and
questions.
let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
I'm so
All right.
excited for this.
Okay, Sharanya, here are your questions. Which is your favorite sea creature?
The orca, the killer whale. That's my favorite.
All right. Sun or moon? Why?
Moon. Moon for sure. The reasons why will make this stop being a rapid fire.
Yes.
We are getting
All right. Okay. So next is also to do with your book, writing or drawing. What do you
my
prefer?
Oh,
my answer to that is I prefer reading.
Reading.
oh,
Neither
good
Yes,
one,
reading
good
nor,
one.
reading
I mean,
above
neither writing nor drawing. Yeah.
reading the most.
Yeah.
Let's
All
flip
right.
the roles now. Let's flip the roles. Sharanya, go for it.
Khyrunnisa, my questions for you. Your favorite pest?
Pest. Okay. Termite. Termite. Because as long as it doesn't eat my books, I like it because it makes beautiful colonies.
Wow.
Speaking of eating, do you prepare butter chicken yourself?
I have tried every time a new recipe comes out, but I love eating butter chicken.
Yes.
And finally, what mythical creature do you believe may exist, if any?
Well, I believe that no mythical creature exists because I am a totally Sharanya, you're a poet, so you will probably be able to tell a story about why mermaids can exist and so on. My feet are grounded in reality, and I'm a very prosaic person. I don't believe in any mythical creatures. They exist in our imagination, but
Yeah.
don't believe even one exists.
So no unicorns, nothing.
No, no, no. In my imagination, maybe in people's imagination, but never in real life. No. Otherwise, we will
Talk,
have David Attenborough making documentaries about them.
so talking about unicorns, I think Sharanya, you should totally write a book on about unicorns.
Yeah.
I would really love that one.
But Sharanya seems to, she thinks that mermaids should be given a chance to exist, right? You believe that
Yes.
they exist?
Well, it's like this. Um, there is so much that we don't know about the world we live in, and the occurrence of this phenomenon throughout the continent in all kinds of cultures suggests something which indigenous knowledge may know more about than Western science and a rational kind of perspective.
But I
So
beg to differ, Sharanya.
I think that the open-minded and scientific approach
Yeah.
is to take the position of we don't know. We
Right.
keep finding out new things. We keep finding out so much about our own environment that we as human beings we've barely begun to fathom. Um,
I know.
yeah. So as the open-minded and actually more scientific approach is to not be sure.
Yeah, I would all love to believe this, but
Carolina, actually, just something that I remembered that, Sharanya is kind of referring to, there are some people who go deep into the Himalayas and they find all sorts of creatures which they might not have kind of, encountered or heard about. Or there are so many things, that we haven't discovered, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe she's referring to that. Also, at the end, of course, we would love to talk about children books and reading like for
yes,
another half an hour, but we are pressed for time. So I wanted
yes.
to
This
ask your
discussion,
opinion.
Sharanya and I will have in private later.
Yes, totally. This is going to get heated up. I'm pretty sure about it. So I wanted to ask you guys. We are a book club that is a book club community that is based like the offline community at least is based in the north in Dehradun. What is your opinion about book clubs for children? Both of you. Let's start with Sharanya.
Why not? A book club or a library membership is one of the best gifts that a child can receive. And it is also a kind of hobby which opens the world to them and also keeps them out of trouble. What better hobby could a parent possibly want?
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Khyrunnisa,
Yeah,
what's
I
your
also
take
feel
on this? Yeah,
I feel the same, and I also think that when there's a book club, you're discussing a book with other children, so you get different perspectives on the same book, and
yeah,
they get more interested and deeper into reading and looking at a book in a totally different way. It's not
right.
very subjective any longer,
Yeah,
subjective becomes objective, and then it's
yeah,
great fun also. So I am totally for book clubs, for children going to libraries, for browsing, for
yeah.
reading.
Yeah, totally. We are sitting in a children's library right now. So
I can
you
see the
know,
books.
yes, all the kids out there, the parents, please make sure tomorrow it's a Sunday. Do visit. Try to visit with, of course, COVID measures. Try to visit a library or a bookstore and grab that favorite book of yours. I've been reading these, as I told you, multiple times, and it's called Mermaids in the Moonlight, and then we have got the crocodile who ate butter chicken for breakfast and other stories. There's some very wonderful stories about turkeys, and there's also Shakespeare in there, surprisingly. So you will love
Can't help
them.
it. I'm an English teacher.
Shout out to Red Panda Westland Books for letting us
Yes.
do this, and a great initiative by them. We are hoping for great times ahead in the future, perhaps offline, because we the situation is improving all the time. Thank you so much, both the authors. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank you.
talking,
Thank you.
telling us stories, and look forward to so much more from you.
Yes.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you,
Yes.
Khyrunnisa. Thank you,
Yeah,
Rohan.
thank
Thank you,
you. Yeah,
Poojas.
lovely meeting you, Sharanya. And thank you very much, Rahul, for taking us through this session. And huge gratitude to Red Panda and Westland, Booknerds,
Yes,
all of you. It was lovely being here with you and all of you who tuned in. Thank you very much.
I'm just
Have a
worried
great
about
day.
Arun. I was just worried about Arun all the time. He was getting, skinny by by the day. So
Because
yeah,
The
The
butter
butter
chicken
chicken.
is being eaten by the crocodile, right? Yeah, that's one way to get slim. You
Yes,
must. Yeah.
I have to do that. I need to eat lesser butter chicken. Great. Great time. Thank you so much for being on the Book
Thank you.
Nerds podcast.
Thank you very much. Bye.